One thing that I find so amazing about this 180 that the media is doing is frankly just how obvious it all is. I mean, Jake Tapper, right? Just a few days before the whole big shindig, he was really anti-Trump. He was so anti-Trump that I remember just a short time before the big shindig, being the debate, he had Lara Trump, Trump's daughter-in-law, married to Eric, now head of the RNC. He had her on his program. By the way, she was gracious to go on. He wasn't so gracious to her, thank you very much. And he started berating her for highlighting none other than what might be perceived as some of Biden's cognitive declines. I mean, she was spot on. She was totally right. And yet Jake treated her like this. Watch.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You are this is so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have
is
one last question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate.
He's like a hitman for the DNC. Did David Axelrod tell him to do that too? David Plouffe? The other guy, Rhodes? Like, oh, somebody's talking to him. They were like, do not let any Republican say anything bad about the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. That's fake news. Until, of course, we decide it's not. That's the irony, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, they lie about everything. It's exhausting keeping up with their lies. You think about that. Remember, subscribe, hit like, do all that good stuff. And then you think about this, because I want to show you the latest and greatest from Jake Tapper, who's editorializing nonstop about how Biden's got to go. Watch.
There is a pattern, discernible pattern of Democratic officials seemingly trying to convince you, the public, to not believe what you saw and what you heard with your eyes and with your ears on Thursday night.
What I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare, the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Democratic officials have tried to spin this in many ways. They said President Biden just had a cold. They said it was just one off night, akin to when President Obama in 2012 was rusty and seemed a little huffy. But behind the scenes, make no mistake, most Democratic officials witnessed the same shocking spectacle that you did. The difficulty that the presumptive Democratic nominee, the current president.
Hey, Drew, bear with me. Can you go back to George Clooney's New York Times op-ed? Because the language, once again, it's the same stuff. I'm telling you guys, they have talking points. Here's George, came out with the op-ed. He was tired, a cold, maybe. But we can't unsee what we just saw, right? We're also terrified, blah, 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 and he goes on. But he's using the same stuff that Jake just did. That's why, again, I'm telling you, it's all coming from the same source. It's all coming from Barack Obama, who has just had an epiphany that, oh my gosh, my guy can't win. There's no way he can win. I mean, unless we full on do things we shouldn't. And so, they don't have a shutdown going on, so they may not be able to get the same kind of absentee ballots that they had last time around. And consequently, they got to find, I guess, a new candidate.